Hi everyone. In a moment of madness, I bought this box of time cards, 500 of them, and so I thought I'd have a go at making a belly band with them, something in a vintage style, and I thought I'll turn the camera on and we'll see what comes of it. So I'll start with one of them, and I'm just going to round the corners quickly. And because I'm doing a vintage style, I'm going to ink it. And what I've got on my desk is a little pile of just bits and pieces that I thought I'll just have a go at decorating it. I have got a series of other videos that I'll link in the show notes that show how I made some of those items. In case you're interested. So there's the bottom belly band, and then what I thought I'd do is take another one of these and make a bit of a couple of tuck spots. So you see, I want the top tuck spot about that height, and then some room at the bottom. So I'm just going to fold this roughly to that line. So I'm not measuring. If you did want to make these and you don't have the time cards, you could just make it out of cardstock or a manila folder. It's 8 1/4 by just over 3 1/4. Okay, so that's my fold up. So I'm going to sit that between those two lines there, and then fold this bit down to make another little tuck spot. And I'm just going to, what I'll do is I'll make a little notch there and a little notch there. I'm just using my tab punch. So I'll just make a little notch roughly in the center there, and then one there. And then ink this. Okay, so what I've got here is just a whole lot of little bits and pieces. I've got so much of this stuff, and I thought it was really high time to use it. And I thought I'd just sort of lay things around and see what I like. So for example, this is just a little torn bit of something or other that can go up there. And I've got some stamps as well. And then maybe actually I think I prefer that. Just basically just have a play and see what you like. I could cut that in half. I've got some of these perforated paper strips. I like that little mix of green. And then perhaps a ticket under there. I could stamp something on that. Maybe that's a bit big. Kind of like that. I've also got this little book of, I think this is just little labels. It's just called Missing Labels. So I think some number labels might look nice. So I like that to get started. I'll just ink around these pieces, get rid of the white. I think there might be a sticker. It is. Okay, that one I might just tear a little bit more off. I spent 6 hours in my craft room a few days ago tidying up and I found all this stuff lying around. And while I knew I had too much stuff, boy, do I have too much stuff. So I thought I might as well put some of it to good use since I know where it is. And that's when I found this box. I'd forgotten. I knew I had them, but I'd sort of just out of sight, out of mind. So I thought I'll make something with them, and I've got a lot of vintage stuff, so I thought that might be a good idea to make something that will go in that journal. Whoops. So these little things, there's a video on these, the vintage paper flowers. I'll link that in the notes. And so pretty much I'm just sort of playing around and seeing what I like. I think that looks nice there. The other thing I had out is I printed some of the vintage papers on fabric, and I like that as well, although that might go down. I might put that down the bottom and put that one under there. And the idea is to have lots of little things tucked in. These are actually really nice. They're a nice thickness. They're thicker than a manila envelope, so they're quite strong. All right. Let me think. I've got some stamps here. I'll put that down there. I've got a word somewhere here, or a label. What have I got here? That looks quite nice. Or a label. I'll make my mind up on that, but I think that I'm going to tear that off. These are just made with scrap paper, perforated paper strips, scrap paper and a hole punch and a bit of graph paper. So if you've got some of that lying around, you can easily make these. It's just some double-sided tape on the back of that fabric. Okay. And the other little bit I'll sit that around. I might grab some stamps out. I need something circular. I've just got a couple of different bits and pieces in stamps. Oh, I like that ink bottle. I might try that. So if that sits there, that could sit there. That would be nice. And because it's largely black, what I might do is use some embossing on that. Well, the other thing that I like on that one is the inkwell. So I could have the ink bottle or the ink, oh no, let's do that one. Okay, so I'm going to use embossing powder on that. So I'll grab my Versamark out. And sit that just there. And I've got ebony, and it's a really fine one. Hopefully all those details will be captured. Okay. got that little bit that could sit up the top. Could also add, I think these are the same height as a journal page. Let me have a look. This is A4. They are. So I won't put a tab on the top yet, but you could always do that and have that hanging out the top of the journal. That would depend on the cover, so I'll leave that for the moment. Now, while I've got my stamps out, I might add something else here. These buds, I'll see if one of these will fit on this side here. Let's go with that one. And again, I'll use the Versamark. For someone who had a tidy desk, it didn't take long to make it messy again. Okay, I'm happy with that so far. I need something here. I need something circular. Let me see. I've got these postage stamps, or even that one. That one might look. Let's try that one. And I'll just go with black ink on this one. Okay. What else does it need? So this is the shimmer tape I made using alcohol ink. So let's see if I can put a couple of bits of this on. Maybe a little bit up here as well. Okay, let's have a go at some of these numbers. I think, what did I do with my little bit of fabric? That's on. That one might look nice there. That might fit somewhere up there. What have we got here? I'm going to pop that in the middle of that. I want this to be fairly busy looking. And then something missing. I still think I want something round up in that top corner. Stamp it off the page. And then the other half, maybe just partly showing in there. Maybe that's a bit dark. What else have I got? Okay, that's probably enough. I'm finding that it's a little bit white, so I'm just going to lightly add a little bit of ink just to dull that off a little bit. That's better, and a little bit there. All right, that's probably busy enough. So now what I might do is glue this piece down just on the sides so that if I've got something long, it can go all the way through. And then glue the back of this pocket down. And then the sides of this pocket down. Could always add an extra little tab there. What else have I got? Wrong colour. I think I like that. All these little bits and pieces are from a video called Beautiful Vintage Ephemera, and there is a freebie in that. If you'd like to grab that, you can make some of these things yourself. Push that down a little bit so it's just behind that number. Okay, now I've grabbed some bits and pieces that might go in. So let me see, that's a long piece, so that can sit in there, perhaps with a tag like that. These little bits can tuck in under there. Then I've got a little tag sitting there. And I think that looks pretty nice. Because it's got the black in it, I'm just going to sit it on, oh that's nice, on black paper. And then if that was to sit on a journal page, even though it's quite wide, I'm just going to trim that down. So that could glue onto the journal page, that could glue onto the middle. If you put glue just at the top and the bottom, that would give you a belly band that way and another belly band underneath. So I'm pretty happy with that. You could continue to add little bits and pieces to it, but I think for the moment I'm really happy with that. The only thing I might do is in each of the four corners add a little bit of metal, because I've got the metal there. So there's the, I'm just going to leave it at the moment, but that's the finished example. And it looks great. That's it filled. You've got the double belly band there and there to tuck things in, and even if you pull everything out of it, that still looks really nice in your journal. Here's another one that I've made. I just need to add some metal to this one too. Just using a few different bits and pieces, but I really like these. I think they're really useful. It's nice and sturdy, so it's going to hold something really nice, really nicely in place, and just give you, it looks beautiful, and it gives you two places to tuck things. So let me show you with a few things tucked in here. So there you are. This one I didn't make, this would be too long. I glued that pocket at this level, so that's going to be too long. But that looks really nice. So thank you for watching. I hope you have a go at making something too.